everybody. Can you hear us? Welcome, welcome. We have Brent Baxter with us today. This is Hacking Music Conversations. Usually we have AJ Jansen. She is on the road doing a tour in the Northeast, so she couldn't be here today, but super excited about this conversation here with my good colleague and friend, Brent Baxter. Brent has been a force of nature, I would say, in the songwriting community. We've been part of some ventures with the Garth Brooks Company over the years, and Brent has a really interesting approach to writing. Some quick credits on him. He wrote Monday Morning Church, top 5 country hit, songs for Lady A, Randy Travis, Joe Nichols, Steve Cropper, bunch of people, but a great writer. But what's interesting to me and what I hope we can talk about is what makes Brent different and how he approaches writing and training writers to think differently, because he comes at it differently. So Brent, welcome to Hacking Music Conversations.
Thanks, John. Good to see you again, bud.
Yeah, good to see you.
So I'm different, apparently. That's
yeah.
Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that depends on who's saying it.
Hey, I think different. Your strengths and your abilities make you different. So that's good.
There we go. Okay, I'll go with those. Yeah.
So Brent has something that, as we've worked together and observed, makes him different, and that is that he is a lyric only writer.
Mm-hmm.
You don't play an
That's
instrument.
right.
You don't.
No, I have guitars. I have a guitar that is, the strings on it are older than most of my children. That's how much I play.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love it.
not much.
And that hasn't slowed you down.
No, it's I've had to choose a different path. I figured out early on kind of where my natural skill set is, my strengths are, and I had to decide if I was going to go all in on my strength or if I was going to try and take what I'm naturally not good at, which is singing and playing, and that the more musical side of it.
Yep.
How much attention am I going to give to that versus going all in on what might be a superpower?
Right.
And so I went all in on the superpower, and it's worked out all right.
Yeah. I love it. And something I remember when we were writing every day with our joint venture at Garth Brooks Company, is Brent would show up, and I love this about you. You would show up to writing sessions with like 3 or 4 tablets of lyric ideas.
Yeah.
Like your level of preparedness was not like, hey, let's show up and let's see if we can just pull something out of the ether. You prepared.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, that's always been something ever since the beginning. Being a lyricist, I didn't complete my own songs, right? Because I didn't, I wrote a little bit of melody back in the day, and they're just really bad, and I probably never sang the same one twice, kind of thing. Just not my skill set. So I had a lot of time to woodshed and to write lyrics, because that's what I was doing. I was writing, and then I had more lyrics than I had co-writers. And so when I hit Nashville, definitely had the big old stack, and then just tried to keep that kind of going. And today, these days, I'm even more weighted toward like solo writing versus co-writing, and really making sure that I'm prepared to make the most of the opportunities I get. So yeah, I feel naked if I walk in, I don't have ideas. I wouldn't like that at all.
Yeah.
I like to get a running start on my co-writes.
Yeah. And why do you think that is, Brent? Because most writers, they like, let's say they like to improvise. They like to just pull something out of the ether, and maybe it's brilliant. Maybe.
Right.
Most likely it's not. But why do you think writers are wired that way? In hacking music, we call it magical thinking.
Yeah.
Where, it's the world's a happy unicorn, and there's no gravity for you because you're an artist, right?
Right.
Why do you think that is? And Brent, I'm almost losing you. I don't know. Can you scoot over?
Oh,
no. Yeah, that way. There you go.
I just need to stay centered. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm still in my screen. Okay, I'll stay here. I won't move.
Why do you think that is?
That's interesting, because that's just not the way I've ever thought. I think part of it is the preparing is not the fun part. Like, that's probably not the fun part for the artist. Like, my favorite part is being in the room And it takes more work sometimes for me to sit down and chase the muse and not just wait, not play catcher with the muse, but to go sit down and go. I mean, so many times I sit down to go, okay, I'm going to do some idea development, that sort of thing. And I'm not feeling it at the beginning.
Sure.
Like I have to do it. I have to make myself do it. And then the muse shows up and then it's fun. Like, oh, I got something, but she's not waiting outside the door. She's inside the door and I have to go pick the lock first. And so I think part of it is it's not the fun part. The fun part is being in the room. It's the creativity. So maybe you're busy, you're not thinking about it, you have other stuff going on. I would guess that's it. I mean, for me, I don't like to show up. And as a lyricist, I've always assumed that, hey, that's my job. Like that's part of why I'm there.
Right.
Since I'm not bringing melody and groove and we're not going to jam together on guitar, what am I bringing that's of value?
Right.
And one of the best ways I can make sure I bring value is to bring a bunch of ideas, because usually that's what people are lacking. It's like, I don't have any ideas. Well, good. I have a reason to be in the room. So it might just be, it's the more romantic idea, I think, of too. We're just talking and something came up in the room, and I still write that way sometimes. Sometimes someone just have something on their heart, on their mind they want to talk about. That's great.
Yeah.
If they're feeling it, because then you already have the emotion. And then, I trust myself to be able to, between the two of us, me and my co-writers, to figure that out on the fly, like how to package it up. And then I get to leave with all the ideas I brought in. So I'm like, sweet, I'm still loaded for the next session.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that at all. I mean, that's fun. If my co-writer's feeling it, then, that's a lot of it too.
Right.
Because that way you don't have to sell them on an idea. You don't have to, you don't have to cast the vision, which I don't mind doing. And a lot of times it works, but it's fun when I don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm. Totally get it. So let me ask you a question. How do you, as a writer and as a lyricist, how do you pick your ideas? I'm like, you've got 1,000 song titles.
Oh, yeah.
2,000,
yeah,
5,000,
I have closer to 5, yeah.
How do you pick the one that you think has a life cycle ahead of it and that is people are able to build a campaign around? Because the song is kind of the starter, but it doesn't end there. Like it
doesn't. Hopefully not.
Right. How do you pick those song titles to write?
So kind of what I do is, when I'm paring down what I'm going to bring into a particular co-write. So first thing I look at is who's on the books, who's going to be across the Zoom or across the room from me. And so I will say what's appropriate for this genre where this person shines either as an artist or as a writer or a producer. Like, okay, what's their wheelhouse?
Right.
I want to put them in a position to play within their strengths. So if it's a bluegrass artist or writer, then I'm like, okay, what are my most appropriate bluegrass ideas that I think will work for that? If it's a Southern gospel or if it's a country. So that's the kind of the first layer of culling that I do. It's like, what's appropriate for their genre? Right. Because not every idea is best for every genre. And so then I start looking at, okay, what do I think is the kind of the most hit suspicious? Because we're trying to write for hits, whatever the genre, singles. And so what makes that? It's something maybe that, okay, what lends itself to tempo? What lends itself to a positive expression, more of a positive song? What lends itself to just what feels like a more fresh, unique idea and approach, but that still makes sense for the market and for this writer? And what do I think will look good on a tote bag or a hat or a koozie or a that sort of thing. I remember I was writing with a Southern gospel writer and artist, and I had this title. I'm like, okay, it's this kind of thing, and she's like, that'd look really good on like a tote bag or a T-shirt. Or I was like, all right, good. That's a good sign that you're already thinking merch and thinking about a little bit of the story. And
so you're thinking a year down the road, 2 years, 5 years down the road, beyond the song.
Hopefully, I mean that could be a tiebreaker. For sure, when you bring in certain ideas, you're like, okay, I think these are all strong and they could do well at radio, we hope. But this one, I have an idea of what you could do even to market it. So I was writing with the Canadian artist, and as the idea developed, kind of talking to him about what he needed as well. That was part of it, talking to the artist, seeing kind of where the gaps are, maybe what they already have, what their label's looking for, how they think they can thread that needle between what's unique and, has integrity for them as an artist, and what radio will play and what they think can break through as a new artist. And so having those discussions and looking through ideas and going, okay, well, how about this thing? So you're kind of puzzle piecing a little bit
Right.
to find like, okay, this resonates with you, and I think it resonates with your artistry and with radio, and it kind of, the Venn diagram kind of thing. So that's part of it, is just talking it out, not being in a rush to just jump in and start writing immediately. Like, get to know each other. See, because I'm in the service business. I'm here to help solve the artist problem, and if the artist is smart, they're there to serve the audience.
Yeah.
And
And
so I'm
you're
helping the artist serve the
not
audience.
only solving the artist problem of what to say, what the next single might be, you're also solving the label's problem,
Right.
the marketing department's problem, and ultimately the end customer's problem, the fans, because
Right.
songs are those vehicles that, if written well, give the fans an opportunity to step into that world of their
Right.
whether it's Live Like You're Dying or Monday Church or whatever. It's like fans can become part of that film. If
It
the
is.
song,
It's
right,
fan service, right? Whether their problem is like, I need a jam because I want to cut loose on Friday night. I've had a hard week of work. I just want to go have fun.
sure,
Great. That's a certain type of service. Or if it's this is like a live like you were dying, something that inspires me to live life better, or whatever it is. So it doesn't have to be just one kind of service, but what is that's going to serve the audience? And I
yeah,
think if the artist is smart, they're thinking about that. And so also, like with this particular Canadian artist, we were also talking about different ways to serve it up on social media, different ways to engage the audience, because he's still growing and he hasn't broken through yet. And he's like, oh yeah, I mentioned that to my label, some of those ideas. And so if I can help provide that, that's just like one more way that I can hopefully get the artist excited about the song, help the song be successful, connect with fans. And so that might just give me the slight edge over the person that just comes in with, good ideas and good songs. But
right.
this one, we can already have some ideas about how we could serve this up to the audience and hopefully connect it. Then good, that may just be that little extra
Easier.
bit because it's
It
so
makes
competitive.
it makes everybody's job easier.
Yeah.
When there's we call them super songs in hacking music, but when there's a super song, you made the artist's jobs easier. You made the record producer's job
Yeah.
easier. Everybody's job got exponentially easier
Yeah.
because the song was right.
Right.
And that's hard.
Oh, it does.
That's hard to do. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not an easy thing to create super songs, but that's really what we're talking about here.
Yeah, and that's what it takes. Like for me as an outside writer, not being the artist, the producer, the label, all that stuff, to cut through and try and get through all those layers to where my song's the one.
Right.
And so, I have another artist. I'm like, oh, you could totally tap into this particular, niche and this fan base and connect with them this way. You could do videos with this, and you could have them, and just throwing stuff out to hopefully get the artist, first write the song really well, make sure the song connects, like, the artist is loving it and thinks that his fans will love it, and then go, well, here's some ways you could serve it up on social and do different ways to connect with them. All that does is just get them thinking about that song more and more.
Right.
And you're not being disingenuous. You're not playing anybody, but you're just providing more service.
Yeah.
Especially depending on their label, they may be doing having to figure out all the marketing themselves. They may not have the marketing department, but even if they do, if they can walk in with ideas, okay, you may get a little more push than the other person on the label.
It makes
you did
everybody
their work.
here.
Exactly.
When you help people sleep better at night, I think you call it in your group. You call it the publisher gets to keep their job.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. They're just looking to keep their job too, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to keep their job, and if I can help them keep their job, I get a job. Zig Ziglar, who I know you're aware of, I think he had a quote or something along the lines of, if I help enough people get what they want, I get what I want.
Right.
Help enough people get what they want, you get what you want.
Yep.
And so that's totally, I think, should be the artist mindset.
Yeah.
And definitely should be the songwriter's mindset. It's not about what I want to say in that room. It's helping the artist express something they want to say to their fans. Even if I'm the one that brings in an idea, I want it to connect to them, tailor it to them, that sort of thing.
Yep. I love that. So, Brent, you've written thousands of songs over the years, and you've written with writers all up and down the food chain.
Yeah.
Probably not writing with baby writers much anymore, but new to town, had
Mm-hmm.
hits, songwriter, hall
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
What do you what do you think the top of the pyramid? How do you think they think? What is it that makes them? How do they see the world and the song world differently than maybe those newbies to town, or hey, I just got to town, I want to write songs.
Yeah. I think newbies are more, what do I want to say? What do I want to say? And usually hating on radio, hating on their own genre a little bit more.
Right.
Like, I don't see a lot of people that are successful hating on the stuff that's going on, or maybe people that used to be successful, but not the people that are currently successful. Just because it's a waste of energy, and you're not going to be very successful in the industry you don't even enjoy or respect. So that's one thing I find. Another thing, with people that are getting a lot of cuts, they're thinking about getting a lot of cuts. Like, they're actively pitching, they're thinking about how to get stuff done. It's not just, the job doesn't end at the last note of the song.
Right.
Like, that's just the
So
beginning.
turning in the song isn't the end.
No, that's just one more step. Now it's, okay, oh, this could be good for so and so. And they're thinking about cuts. They're not thinking about, they're thinking more end result. Like, where's your end point? Is it,
Right.
for one point at me, it was, I finished a song. That's the end point. That's great. Another time it was, oh, I got to play for publishers, or I got a publishing deal. Now my publisher likes it and we're going to demo it. And now I'm kind of hands off. And then it moves to like, okay, I need to be pitching it.
Right.
And now the end point is, okay, how do we get the sucker on the radio? As much as I can affect that as a writer, not being the artist, but going, that's what I'm aiming for,
Yeah.
is radio, or, the single, whether it's
Yeah.
streaming or whatever. Like, that's more what I'm thinking about when I'm coming up with ideas, when I'm structuring a song, when I'm, putting certain people on the books versus other people not, that sort of thing, is like, it's the end point of way further down the road.
Yeah.
And I think part of it too is not being so, showing up and working consistently is a big part of it. Just showing up and putting in the hours, putting in the work. But then also not overthinking it. I know sometimes in my attempts earlier to be interesting and to be different, it would be like really heady or maybe intellectual, but it doesn't hit the, so what? Like, are the fans going to really like this?
Right.
Like, are they going to care?
Overly.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying so hard to be different. Well, just,
Yeah.
sometimes you just got to feed them some red meat, what they want.
Right.
Now, that, there's still a needle to be threaded for, I have to serve it up in a way that an artist wants to record it and actually can get cut. So it's not just one of 1,000 songs that are just right down the middle. Yeah, the fans would love it if Tim McGraw sang it, but how am I going to get Tim to sing it? That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes not, you can get, we call them bluebird songs, right? Like my deep, world-changing 5-minute ballad that really, is really important. And then, here's this guy that's just, he's killing it, but he's just writing these fun songs, love songs, that are 3 minutes long or whatever. Yeah, don't hate on that. Like,
Right.
they're serving the audience. The audience loves it. The artist is loving it. There's room for the other stuff too, for, bringing in some depth. But like,
Yeah.
okay, don't be above that.
Yeah.
You write everything you write with a high level of craft, but with your goal in mind.
Yeah. I love that.
So it'd be like a soccer player, trying to get in the NFL and going, they throw the ball with their hands. Like, I got to use my feet. That's so much more like difficult. That quarterback just throws it with his hand, and they catch it with their hands. You're like, yeah, but that's the game.
That's the deal. Yeah.
That's the game.
Yep.
If they kick it, somebody's probably going to throw a flag. So,
question for you: the world changes every 30 days, right?
yeah.
Used to change every 6 months. Now it's like every 30 days there's a iterative change or pivot. What have you seen over the last year or so that's really kind of, what have you seen that is changing the way you think about things?
It's more an evolution, not like a sudden big, sea change on something. I mean, there probably are those I'm just missing. But just the fact that you don't have to have the gatekeepers that we don't have to go through the gatekeepers that we used to have to go through. And I co-host a podcast called The Climb, and my co-host Johnny is all about music marketing, artist development, that sort of thing too,
Yeah.
and just diving into like how artists are being found, how they're getting signed to record deals, how they don't need record deals in a lot of cases because you can get directly to the fan.
Yep.
And so for artists, I think it's definitely just an evolution of a brand new world. It's not the old model by any means. And then for writers like me, still trying to figure out like, okay, if it's terrestrial radio is still the main way to, like, that's where the big money is, right? The major artists, major radio. Streaming is like, okay, how to survive in that world. Things are getting better, but I just got a cut down in Australia, country artist, and the math on that is not like what it would be a US hit. And the co-writer mentioned that. I was like, well, the way I look at it is with something to talk about, something to keep building the brand, keep hey, what you got going? Oh, I got this thing, and it's just something positive to talk about. It always feels good to get a cut. I mean, that's never a bad feeling. It's always positive, and it gives you some fuel. Like, okay, I'm doing this. I can do this. And it goes into the streaming world. Like, it'll be on radio, it'll do its thing there, but then it lives on in streaming, and those little micro pennies eventually add up to dollars. And so I see it on my statements when they come in going, hey, there are a bunch of songs. They're not generating that much each unless one was, a big hit or something like that. But hey, they start adding up.
Yeah.
Okay. How can I, this kind of money ball,
Right,
for the music business? Like, how can I just get on base? Just keep getting on base. And hopefully every once in a while you hit a grand slam, which is great. But those all conditions have to line up just right. Like, you didn't do anything to get the other three guys on base.
Yeah.
But you just swinging just as if they weren't.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of it. Just looking at how I can look at indie artists in a different way than, because now it's not like, oh, they might sell 5 records. It's like, they might do something, get into that. Yeah.
The gatekeepers are gone or significantly non-consequential. I heard the other day that 51% of all Grammy winners were independent artists and independent labels.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So how does that affect your, 2 questions. How does that affect your team and tribe building? Like, how do you, like, normally you would like go to a record label or your publisher would pitch catalog to artists. How does that affect your team building and your tribe and your pitching, I guess, ultimately?
Yeah. Well, one thing I'm doing is because when I first met you, I was like writing 100% country songs. Like, that's what I'm doing. I'm writing country songs. That's my lane. And so what I've done is I've diversified my lanes. I write country. Just in the world we live in, I can connect to a lot more to Canada, to Australia, country artists there, but also going, okay, bluegrass, Southern gospel, CCM. Being a lyricist, hey, it's all, as long as it's in English.
Right.
They're different, of course, different rules of the road and different, potholes in each lane that you have to be aware of if you want to be successful. But going, okay, it doesn't matter so much. Like, and being independent, because I'm not signed with a publisher right now. I'm doing my own publishing.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah, a bluegrass cut or Southern cut or single, well, it all comes to me, right? There's no recoup. And so I can go after those smaller things, and it makes a difference in my budget for the month.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it. So just being more widely kind of spread around, I think, in a positive way.
Yeah.
And then as far as the indie artist, just trying to find people that are great. What's blowing up on TikTok, or, just you're a little more open, or definitely more open to people bringing you ideas and people coming across your desk that maybe a co-writer mentions them or something like that, where they're just different ways of finding them.
Yeah.
And going, oh, I think if they're really good and they're working hard, and especially if you can see some return on that, like, you look at their socials, are they building, looks like an authentic fan base, and they're doing that. Okay. That could be worth some, because one thing, you don't know where their trajectory is. It doesn't matter if they don't have a major. They might sign, they might not, but either way, it could be a good thing. And again, like, just what's my on-base percentage? If they're an indie, but they're doing hard work and they're doing good work, they're connecting with fans, they're getting streams, they're selling some records. Yeah, that's worth some days. And getting to the point of trying to get my batting average up of like, okay, I'm just on base a lot more than I used to be.
Right.
Used to be is like either, you strike out or it's a home run.
Yeah.
Like if you're aiming for like major country stuff,
Sure.
that's kind of it. There's not much in between. Um, with indie stuff, you can monetize more and you can get on base more.
Yeah.
So that's looking at that, being more open to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're thinking of yourself as a brand, not only a publisher and a
Mm-hmm.
writer, but you're a brand in a
Oh,
sense.
for sure.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's what do they think when they think of you?
right.
That goes for writers. I think writers, just like songs, are helped by having a really good hook. So are writers. For them to go, okay, well, when I think of Brent, I think of he's gonna come in with a stack of great ideas, or if I bring one and he knows what to do with it, and he's pitching his own stuff, and he's just that sort of thing, right? So what
Right.
all value do I bring to the room? That's what I want people thinking about, and so then it gives my phone a reason to ring versus somebody else's.
Right.
So I think it's important. Are you the so and so writes great melodies, great, or this is the groove person, or this is they also produce, and so they can do a great track, and
Right.
whatever kind of your superpowers are, man, lean into them, let
Yeah.
people know what they are, because
Yeah.
it differentiates you from everybody else. That's
Yeah.
good. Oh, you're a good writer. Great, take a number. That's one thing we're not lacking is good writers.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else you got? And and just trying to get that and as compelling as possible.
Right.
So part of that's just being a good hang, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. Yeah.
like, they're both good writers, but I like just hanging with this person. It's a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, that factors in as well, for
Sure
sure.
does.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's a big part of it. So
Yeah.
I try to be nicer.
So you've stopped like throwing chairs in a writing room.
Yeah, I don't say like, how stupid are you? What kind of line is that? I try to not do that anymore.
That's the stupidest. No, I'm kidding. That's
Yeah, exactly. Wow, this is the bad. Yeah, I walk in with a little Louisville mugger. This is
yeah,
my
yeah. That's
bad
the
line
dumbest.
stick.
Yeah,
Don't make me reach for it. Yeah,
that's good.
that doesn't get you back in the room.
That's good. So Brent, you're going to be joining us at Hacking Music X in July.
Yes,
I'm excited about that. You're going to be.
I am too.
We're going to be. You're going to be speaking on finding more and better song ideas.
Yep.
Tell us
That's
a little
right.
bit. Give us a teaser of what you're going to be training the attendees at Hacking Music X.
Sure. Just like we talked about a little bit before about me chasing down the muse and not waiting for the muse to find me.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you want to be a pro, you have to pack a lunch and show up every day
Mm-hmm.
and show up consistently.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do. If you have a day job, you're a professional. You show up whether you're sick, whether you're not really feeling it that day. Believe me, if any day job I had, I only showed up the days I was feeling it. I'd have showed up maybe on payday.
Right.
But I wouldn't have gotten very many paydays. I'd have been fired pretty quickly. So with this thing where nobody's sitting over your shoulder, you need to show up. And so with the Finding Better Song Ideas kind of curriculum, what I'll be talking about, it's repeatable ways to kind of woo the muse, to romance the muse, to go, okay, I'm not really feeling it, but here are techniques that are repeatable. I can do again and again. That are going to help me generate more song ideas, more titles, better song ideas, that sort of thing. Just so it's actionable. It's I'm not just here to inspire you. I'm here to help you not have to be inspired. Like these are systems that you can implement, so you don't have to be feeling it. Because most of the time, like I said before, when I'm starting to do some idea development, I'm not feeling it at the beginning.
Right.
I'm just not like, I can't wait to do it. But by the end of it, it's like I don't want to stop.
Right.
It's getting going. And so I don't have to sit and stare going, I wonder for an idea to hit me. It's like, no, these are some steps I can take. Because the muse, man, she wants to know you're serious. Like she wants to know you're committed before she'll grace you with her presence most of the time. But if you romance her, man, she'll show up a lot. And then just the more you do that, the more she knows, like, okay, yeah, he's serious. I'll show up.
Woo the
and
muse.
It gets easier.
How to woo the muse. I like that. I'm looking forward to hearing your training session. And part of what's different about Hacking Music, it's not about Brent or Rodney Jerkins or Pinky Gonzalez or myself. We're not here to be your guru. We're here to help build muscle around what you're doing and to really build the next generation of great artists. We don't need more ego fests. We need artists who can step into the shoes of some of the artists we've lost. And that's really kind of the spirit and the mission around Hacking Music. So I'm excited about having you join us at Hacking Music X next month. And we're about 80% filled for Hacking Music. So if this kind of stuff is something that, kind of makes your tail wag and kind of feeds you solid food, then you should definitely sign up now, because tickets are moving. So we're excited about that. So yeah, Hacking Music starts July 5th. It goes for 7 days. We're going to have 2 training sessions a day. I'll be training in the morning, and then we're bringing in a guest trainer like Brent Baxter to train in the afternoon sessions. So that's Hacking Music X, and you can find some info below down here, I'm sure. So, Brent, thank you for jumping on Hacking Music Conversations. I love what you do. I love what you create, and I'm honored that you'd be part of Hacking Music X.
Well, thanks, John. It's always good to hang with you. It's been too long, so
It
we'll have
is.
to do it again soon.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see you next time on Hacking Music Conversations.